Now, we could maybe mess with some of the effects a little bit. I don't know whether it really needs much more distortion, but again, maybe it's something we can like modulate rather than just having it on or off like we did before, where we just had it all in. Maybe we could bring it in. Or it might just kind of glue everything together as well. So let's give it a little go. So let's say maybe we could grab this, put it on the mix perhaps. Or maybe even invert it. Or let's say, yeah, let's just kind of stick it in the middle, put it on part of the range here. Yeah, it's kind of adding a little bit of movement in there. Now, the reason why I put this kind of into the middle is because I did really want to quickly just talk about the bipolar, unipolar thing, which I've kind of touched on briefly already, but not really explained. So just to kind of quickly explain what that is, let's say in this particular context, right, we've got our mix, let's say in the middle here, and I boost it so it goes all the way up to the top, right? So we can see it's just going from where I've set this upwards. That is unipolar because it's only going in like one direction. It has like one pole, basically, is the sort of jargon that they use. So it's just going one way, either up or down, depending on how I drag this. But either way, essentially the value of this parameter is like one end of its range, and then it moves away from that to the other end that you've set. Now, if I go into the matrix and I flick this into bipolar mode by just clicking here, we come back. Now you'll see it will go both ways. Did I do the right one? FO3. Oh no, I didn't. It's this one here. Yeah, right. So now you can see it's moving both above and below it. So where the parameter is set is no longer one end of the range, it's now the center of the range, and it moves up and down. And essentially, if we've mapped this LFO, this center value of this parameter is now like the middle of this graph. Whereas if I have it in unipolar, it is either the, well, it's the bottom line of this graph, basically. So it's kind of good to know the distinction, because sometimes there's certain contexts where it's kind of useful. This, obviously, you could kind of go either way with it, but there's definitely contexts that we'll find where we want to mess with the bipolar, unipolar kind of intersection a little bit. Okay. Nice. So maybe we could add just like a little touch of some reverb, and I'm thinking it might be kind of cool to stick that before the distortion. Now, I don't really want this to be like just sort of smearing out the whole sound. What I'm thinking is we could maybe we could, yeah, kind of have it come in and out with the LFO, so it kind of just like accentuates that movement a bit. So maybe we can grab one of the ones that we've already used, just because, you know, that way it'll be like really tied to the movement of other parameters as well. Let's try maybe LFO 1. Maybe we can go the other way. so it's adding like a little bit of like tail to, you know, a little bit of it. It's not so much a tail, but more like an extra kind of layer into the sound of just something else that's kind of going on there. And it will be adding a little bit of stereo information as well, because I have a feeling at the moment we've just got a mono sound. Yeah, so it's just kind of adding a little bit of stereo. I mean, if we did want to like tactically unison something in here, we could. Let's maybe say source for days. We could maybe do like 3. Then mess with our stereo and stuff a bit here, maybe bring it in a bit. So, you know, that's doing some kind of interesting stuff. We're all nicely tempo synced at the moment. I want to just do like a really quick modification of this. Just so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this and just kind of show you like a more chaotic, like non-tempo synced kind of iteration. So let's just open this new version here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep all the modulation and everything kind of the same. I'm just going to, rather than making it like synced, I'm just gonna turn this to seconds on each of these. Here we go. And then I'm gonna get my random down here and I'm just gonna drag it onto this speed. Let's go, yeah, random 2. And then actually, yeah, it will give us 3 randoms, so that's good. Now, we probably don't want it to go up super fast. It's gonna be really crazy. Just see how fast these are going. It's really wild. So let's just turn them. Slow these down by turning this up a bit. Yeah, turn that up. Turn that up. And then we want to make sure this modulation isn't going too high. And this might be a time where using some bipolar might be kind of cool. Let's just turn this on. So it means that it goes kind of below the range a bit as well. Yeah, there's some cool stuff going on there. So that was like a really, really quick transformation to take it from like a very tempo synced kind of tight sequence thing to something that's much more chaotic. That like if you're someone that like works the way that I do, where I kind of like make a lot of sound design and stuff before I actually get into the track, I quite like these kind of chaotic patches where I just record a load of audio out and then I kind of edit that into a track later. But you can get some really cool results because, I mean, for starters, all of these are actually just running at different rates. Like I didn't bother to be precise about like setting them into the same rate or whatever. So even if they were just playing at the rates that we've set, they're all kind of like drifting out of time with each other anyway. But then on top of that, these random LFOs that are just basically spitting out a random movement at a certain rate, they're also modulating this LFO speed as well. So on top of the fact that the LFOs are all moving at different rates, that rate is also changing. So they're constantly like changing their relationship to each other. And because we've mapped these 3 to like a bunch of different stuff, that sounds really cool. Like, for example, even if you just look at the filters, they're moving from 2 different LFOs that are now moving very differently from each other. So there's moments where one jumps forward and the other sort of gets pulled back down more into the low end. And you just get all these kind of interesting things happening. The one thing I will say is it's very important that you set the LFOs to time, or seconds as they call it in Vital. if you have it on tempo, it will try and keep it like on the grid, so it will like kind of jump, and you'll start getting all these kind of weird clicks and jumps and stuff that aren't so nice. So if you want to get that kind of really smooth, like kind of morphing kind of sound, then like, you know, sticking it onto seconds is kind of like the way to go.